The Lord be with you. We continue listening to God speak to us from the Gospel in the tradition of Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said, "Beware of practicing your piety before others, in order for them to know that they have no reward in heaven. So I tell you, when you give alms, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the street corners, so that they may be praised by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. When you give alms, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Let your alms be done in secret, and God who sees in secret will reward you. And when you pray, don't be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues so that it can be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you pray, go to your room and shut the door, and pray to God in secret, and God who sees in secret will reward you. And when you fast, don't look dismal like the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by God who sees in secret, and God who sees in secret will reward you. And this is the gospel, the good news of our salvation. Be seated, please. For those of you who weren't here before, when I sat down, it was because I remember growing up in Brooklyn, and the priest would go up on the pulpit and look down on you, like you were some sort of a meat. Well, one thing we don't have here today, we have people that are referred to as A&P Catholics. A&P, the Atlantic, Pacific, the old supermarket. A&P, ashes and palm. So we are not ashes and palm people. We are people who gather because we believe that the presence of God is very real. And not just on certain days. Okay? There's a story about people who go to a church and they tell the pastor, "Pastor, Father, why is it that every time we come to church we only see poinsettias and lilies?" Another. Okay? So we gather today, and Ash Wednesday is not a holy day of obligation. If you don't receive ashes, you're not going to hell. Ashes are a sacramental, a sign. Okay? A sign of the beginning of the season of Lent. And it's supposed to be a time of growth. It's supposed to be a time of becoming more familiar with God. What we heard tonight in the gospel is from what we call the Sermon on the Mount. Okay, those chapters 5, 6, and 7 of Matthew. This is from chapter 6. And we hear Jesus talking about fasting, about giving alms, and about praying. I think all of us of a certain age can remember that we were called to fast. Right? We were called to stay away from certain things that were going to bring us closer to God. And then come Easter Sunday, we went right back to what we were fasting from. I can remember growing up in Brooklyn, and the good nuns who taught us, the Sisters of St. Joseph, the only time they ever sucked on candy was during Lent. Because they had the permission to, because they had to keep their strength up. And you remember that it happened. So Jesus asks us to give alms. Giving alms just doesn't mean to give money. Giving alms means to give to somebody what they don't have. If you see a person who looks down and out, betrodden, that old word is, you can be the person who brightens that person's day with a simple hello, with a simple how are you. I know we have people on the weekend who know everybody. And then there are people on the weekend who are regulars but don't talk to anybody. For whatever reason, they scurry out. It might be a good thing for us to welcome them, to say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm glad you're here. Even if they're regulars. A lot of people have that holdbackness. So alms doesn't just mean giving money. Is money value? God knows. That's why we got our new sound system, because we had the money to do it. Okay? That's why we have cameras outside, because we had the money to do it. We didn't have to ask for a special collection. But giving alms is more than giving money. And fasting. I remember, we have to, because we want to have a certain outfit for Easter. We have to buy a certain suit. We have to buy a certain dress. And we have to lose a little bit of weight. How about fasting from being critical? How about fasting from not looking down on somebody who might have a little less than you? That's the kind of fast we're talking about. And to do the fasting, to do it quietly. Oh, I'm not going to be critical because that's not what it is. Don't be critical. That's something to fast from. Food? If you want to fast, fine. Traditionally on Ash Wednesday and the Fridays of Lent, we're asked not to eat meat. Does that mean if you have a hot dog on a Friday during Lent, you're going to go to hell? No, I don't think so. No, okay? And then to pray. Some people still think that when they pray, they have to have a book. They got to read prayers. Does that mean that God listens to us more when we're reading from a page? Of course not. When we pray, we're asked to be the Baltimore Catechism, and some of us remember that. What is prayer? Prayer, quote, prayer is lifting up of our minds and hearts to God, period. What's prayer? Prayer is a conversation. It's not a monologue. This is a monologue, okay? Because I'm doing the talking. But when you pray, you've got to listen to God speak to you. You have to. It's not just throwing out words. It's letting God in. And God speaks to us in many ways. There are people, mystics over the centuries, who say that God has spoken to them, and probably has. But to you and me, God talks to us in very different ways. A couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about a certain person who I was with the brothers in Brooklyn many years ago. And I was praying for him. We talk a couple of times a month still. He's a grandfather. And what happened? The phone rang. And who was it? It was Pat. God answers prayers in such beautiful ways. And you got to remember something. Every answer isn't always yes. Right? No is an answer. Not now is an answer. It's not always yes. So as begin this 40-day period, and what maybe it's strange to hear someone say to you, Happy Lent. But what we're supposed to do very simply is progress in our relationship with God. To progress in such a way that when people look at us, they can see the presence of God within us in a very special way. That's the gift of what Lent is all about. As always, pray for me as I pray for you, and may God bless us and keep us. May God's face shine upon us and give us peace now and always.
Amen.